Hello, Marizelle Lewis, Jewel Ambassador. For a year now, or over a year, I have been telling women, young girls, and even men about our Jewel premium sanitary napkins. And I would just like to let you know my why for telling people about this because women need to know it. And so, the reason that I became a Jewel ambassador was because I had a very hard time with my cycle. I started at an early age. I was about 11 years old, and I didn't know a lot about what was going on. Thank God I had a couple of sisters, and they kind of walked me through it. Now, but I had very severe abdominal pain. And a lot of times I thought that I would not make it through the day. I was doubled over. I was messing up clothing and bed sheets. And like I said, I had a very hard and horrible time at it. I missed a lot of time from school because of my monthly cycle. And my mom took me to the doctor, but they found nothing wrong. And this went on into my teen years, and it continued on into adulthood. Now, after I had my children, it got worse. And then I began to use the Depends undergarments, and I was using up to a case a month of the Depends undergarment. And a lot of times I would have to use a bladder pad along with that just to try to absorb the heavy flow in which I was having. Well, this went on and on and on for years. And then I got sick. I went to the doctor, and it turns out that I had depleted my blood, and I had to have an emergency blood transfusion. And so I did that. They kept me in the hospital for like 3 days with that. And I left. I was feeling better. I was energized again. But the heavy flow and the big clots and they continued on. And a year later, I was back in the hospital needing another blood transfusion. So I got that blood transfusion as well, and I went on about my life. But nothing changed. I was still having the heavy clotting, the bleeding. I was still messing up clothing, having to leave work and going home, changing clothes to go back to work. And then sometimes I just wasn't even able to get out of bed because of the severe cramps in which I was having. Well, 9 months after that, yes, I was back in the hospital needing another blood transfusion. Well, this time the doctor just got brutally honest with me. And he told me, this is not the way to handle your issues. Because one of these times you will not catch it in time. And it could take you out. So with that, my husband and I, we discussed it and we decided I had to go ahead and have a hysterectomy. Our children were grown, so that wasn't an issue. But for my health, I became one of those statistical women of that 600,000 a year who has had hysterectomies. And so that was the way it had to be. So I did, and I didn't have that issue anymore, but I still had my bladder issues. And my bladder issues, they continued on. I had very weak bladder. And so I was still using the Depends undergarment and the pause pads, and sometimes together. And I had to continually take extra clothing and extra pads and undergarments with me because I was constantly having accidents. Well, I got introduced to this product by a gentleman at my church, and he asked me to watch this video. And I'm like, okay, well, I have no problem with that. I'll watch it. Well, it took me a couple days, but I did get to it. And I watched it and I'm like, oh my goodness. Could this have actually caused my issues that I had that caused me to have these heavy cycles and to have the fibroids and to have the 3 blood transfusions and then the hysterectomy because of the makeup of my sanitary product that I have been using for years? Then you have to keep in mind, I got a triple whammy because I'm using the traditional sanitary napkins. I'm using Depends undergarments, and I'm using bladder pad as well. So I'm using 3 different things that are made with this 8-step bleaching process. And so I am being triply hit with dioxin. So I'm like, I have got to try this product. And so I talked with the gentleman again, and he gave me the website and everything, and I went on and I ordered it. Okay. And yes, it was cool. It was dry. I'm like, is it on? Did it fall off? Because it was so comfortable and so thin, it didn't seem like I had it on. Okay. And because it wasn't for bladder issues, well, it took me a little bit of regulation as to how to go about using this. So for a while, yes, I was still using the undergarments where I would put a pad in it. But I wasn't, after about 6 months, I wasn't having as many accidents as I was. And then it got to that point that where I began to be around the house without the undergarment and just using the jewel pad. And I was noticing that I could actually make it to the bathroom. And so the accidents decreased more and more as time went on. And then I began to, venture out. Well, at first, not taking that chance, I would put on the undergarment, but I would also have the jewel pad inside. And I found out that I could be out for hours because I had started staying in the house because I didn't want to be out and about and get embarrassed by having an accident. So I stayed in a lot. But then I noticed I could actually go shopping now, or I could go and have lunch, with my friends, and I didn't have an accident. Well, after a while, my confidence got even better, and I would just take some extra pack, of pads with me, and I would go out and about without the bladder control undergarment. And I felt great about that. My confidence level went up. I no longer had to take extra clothes with me. It actually gave me time enough to get to the restroom. And like I say, it changed my whole outlook. I began to get confident enough to go out and about. And I began to go and spend nights elsewhere, which I had stopped doing. Jewel Premium Sanitary Napkins has changed my life. And because of this, and this is my own personal testimony, because Jewel makes no medical claims about their products. So this is my own personal testimony about the Jewel Premium Sanitary Napkin because it has changed my life. And that is my why. And so if I can help someone not go through what I went through and not become one of those statistics of 600,000 hysterectomies a year, I want to do that. And they could be as confident in their cycles as I am with my bladder issues with Jewel. Thank you for letting me share my why for becoming a Jewel ambassador. Come to my website. Check out the rest of the information. Check out our mission that we have. We want a healthier generation of women. MaryzelLewis.jewelpad.com. You be blessed and you stay blessed.